Hello again, Amas. How are you doing?
Doing well. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. And as I'm hoping by now you know who I am. But if you don't and you're just joining us, I'm Shauna, and Amas and I are going to be talking about the future of customer service today. Um, Keeping it on theme with the book, of course. What I want to first kind of explore is the technology element of it, because I know that you work with the engineering kind of side. What kind of technology gaps do you think that there might be in the industry? Like, where would you start?
Listen, I think that most of the technology we've added on to customer service
Mm,
recently, I've done more harm than good, right? I just think about it's added too much complexity, right? It's just think about the view from if you are a customer trying to do business with any company these days, right? Let's just go through the ways you're going to interact with them. Um, Forget about calling them, right? All the technology has been added to the phone system has been made it more complicated and no one knows how to even reach anyone. Like just can you call customer service? You're like, you got to pay attention. It's not a simple process anymore.
mm,
Then think about the websites. You go, all right, let me hit chat. Then they gave you another thing you didn't ask for, right? Who did they ask and said we wanted a chatbot? Like we
mm,
wanted the crappy phone tree that we hated over the phone. Let's just do it in text form and put it on the website so that, oh, yeah, now I can read it and really, really hate it. No one asked for that. I want to talk to a human being. So you have that. I can sort of keep going. Email. I send an email, and what do I get back? A robot. Well, thank you for your email. It's like, I thought I was emailing what have you, right? I can go on and on. There is no, even in person now, right? You go in person and everyone's got a touch screen kiosk. You got to pay for yourself. And all, it's like, oh my God, right? Everywhere you go, there is something waiting for you that is not pleasant. So, and there's technology there. And this is not, I'm not a technophobe. I'm a recovering technologist myself. It's more that, it's more that what customers ultimately want is technology that is human, technology that I can't notice. The way I describe it is if I can call it technology, then it's terrible. It's when I stop noticing it, when I start sort of thinking about it as Alexa, and I keep talking to her like a human being. Now we are starting to get somewhere, right?
mm,
So there needs to be a fundamental shift instead of making technology the star of the show. Because at the end of the day, my grandma, your grandma, knows what technology is. And it's when they use the term technology, it's never in a positive sense. It's
mm.
what they're really saying is complex, right? Hard to use. Because if it wasn't, they wouldn't call it technology. And the best way I describe it is there was a time, right, when my fork was a piece of technology, right? Like it was this complex thing, and now it doesn't even register. So the faster we can move away from technology so that I don't even notice it. So technology is so behind the scenes, I don't even know it is there. That's right what the good future is. But for now, we are in the wilderness of
Mm.
adding more things that just makes the overall experience more complicated.
That's upsetting because my next question was going to be whether or not you saw a world of like all customer service representatives being AI robots, but it sounds
I
like you're going to say no.
listen. I think many organizations would like that, right?
Mm,
Because here's the beauty of AI. It doesn't ask for a raise. It needs no time off. It works 24/7. It needs no breaks. I can hear some CFOs just, getting all kinds of aroused at me just mentioning this employee, right? Like you can put this AI there and it's there. So of course that's very appealing. And you're
mm,
seeing it already, even in fast food places now, right? They want you to place the order yourself. eventually some robot then may come and deliver the burger and fries to you. That's kind of where companies are in. But I've got news for you guys. It's if you keep going at it this way, customers are going to revolt. It's not going to happen, right?
Mm.
Until you get it to where it is simple, right? Like, Steve Jobs didn't invent the smartphone, right? He created the iPhone, which is just a much more simpler version of everything that was in there, right? So to the extent you're going to use technology, it has to be humanized. So I think we're going to see a divergence. Companies chasing more and more AI and more automations and customers demanding more and more human, right? And we will eventually converge because the customer ultimately is king. We get to use our wallets to vote.
And on that conversion, what do you feel would be the ideal kind of percentage of human versus AI or tech, I guess? Like a 60-40 split, or how would you think that would balance?
Yeah, it's task based,
Mm-hmm.
right? So if I want to do a very mundane, simple task, right? Like
Yeah.
I want to go to 7-Eleven, if you have 7-Eleven across the pond, right? A convenience store and grab a drink. I could see a world where I go in, I grab the thing, right? I scan it, right? And use my, retina, pay for it and be on my way, right? Sure, right? If on the other hand, I've lost a loved one and I want to go to the funeral home, right? I can't imagine there being like a deal. You pick the casket you want from a vending machine. Like I don't know. I don't know that that makes sense, right? I think I still need a human. There might be technology that aids him. So it's task based on what I am trying to accomplish, right?
Mm.
So I think that's where it looks like. It's not the scale of human on one hand and technology on the other end. It's never zero. It's never completely human and completely technology ever, right? There's
Mm.
always a little bit of enabling technology. It's now thinking about the task. What's the thing the person is trying to accomplish, right? Is it transactional, right? Or is it much more than that? Even the take buying a home, right? Zillow conducted this experiment this year where they used the algorithm, they didn't do inspections, they just bought up all of these houses using AI and they were bragging about it. 3 months later, they were having to sell all of those homes because it turns out that something like a home, we're not quite there yet, right? Judging the value of a home without ever seeing it and
Mm.
thinking an AI and a machine can do it, turns out was a failed experiment, right? One day it may get there. So it's understanding what's the thing you're trying to do in determining how much technology you're up. The other thing I'm going to say is we also cannot live in a world that discriminates against people. What I mean by that is, you can't get to a place where unless I am computer literate, I can't do business with you. And we're approaching that, right? I have a next door neighbor. She is 88, right? And I often have to help her navigate customer service, right? I should never have told her what I do. But it's because there is so much of it, and especially during COVID, that companies she is paying money to, she can literally not interact with them, right?
Mm.
The phone system is no, she can't use their websites. Like I'm going, well, then stop taking her money because
Yeah.
you've created no avenue for her to actually do business with you.
Mm.
So there are all kinds of reasons where it will never be all technology. You have to think about the context. You have to think about your customers in determining how much technology you want to put there. And again, the rule of thumb, if you're calling it technologies, people hate it.
I'm guessing, like, for me, I guess I'm quite a technical person, so, but I completely agree. Like, most of the customers I deal with are the complete opposite, and that's why they call us. But you just brought out a really good point: the fact that your 88-year-old neighbour, she's not going to be on Twitter. She's not going to be on, social media or anything like that, or be able to even navigate their website to find their chat. So the only avenue that someone like your neighbor would have, from what we've discussed and what you've kind of put in the book, would be maybe to go to her local representative and to badger them to make a change. Is there any other avenues that someone who doesn't live next to someone who already knows what they're doing can take?
Yeah, so I think if we talk to the cable company, right? Because one of the issues we had was she recently lost her husband and she wanted me to put a camera in front of her house. And I said, let's just get a Ring doorbell.
Mm.
Sounds great. Well, turns out she doesn't have Wi-Fi, but she has internet. And I go, wait, what? Like, who installed this? And it's a brand new modem that was put in a year ago. Like, who thought you would not need Wi-Fi, right? So we have to do business with the cable company, the local one here. So the only channel that really makes any type of sense for her will be to drive to one of the stores and interact face to face, except small problem COVID, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of where we are. It's because they have not thought thoroughly about who their customer is. And let's get real here. She has cable. I mean, actual cable. Who has cable tends to be older. So you would think that if anyone will get out of the business of complicated phone trees and all of this, it will be them. Your fucking customers tend to lean a little, not that millennials don't have cable, but you get my saying, they're overwhelmingly older. So your thing should be as friendly to her as possible because she's your typical customer. So it's not like she's even doing business with a company that the vast majority of their customers are Gen Zers. She's doing business. So it's this lack of customer service is just this thing that it's just in the foreground. No one really thinks thoroughly about it until something sort of goes wrong. So the answer continues to be there are some channels in person if they have it, but increasingly that's becoming less and less. So you do have to make the choice about the companies you're doing business with. So she listens for a company that says, local customer service, someone you can talk to. Discover, which is, I think you have Discover credit cards there, right? I don't know if you do, but Discover is one of the major credit card companies, Visa, MasterCard, one of them.
Yeah.
And in their commercials, they always brag about live US-based representative, a subtle dig at their competitors that you can actually talk to someone. So I think that's how the marketplace begins to deal. So if I want humanistic service, I lean towards Discover, right? Because I like that they are choosing to use that as a differentiator. So that's the world we live in. And then obviously in the book, I have some tips on how you can escalate things and work your way around. And even on the website, Waiting for Service, we'll have tips for folks there as well.
Wow, you just jumped in right ahead of me because that is exactly what I was going to then go on to, which is the website. So, Waiting for Service website, and tell everybody where they can find that. So, what is the full URL?
Yes, so it's waitingforservice.com. And number one, you should buy the book there because when you buy from the Amazons, they take a piece of the pie, buy directly from us. But more importantly, there are resources. You can get free previews of some of the chapters. And then once the book launches, we'll also have a resource center that will help you sort of navigate your more thorny customer service issues. So I'm excited, but more importantly, whether you buy the book or not, I want to interact with you. Tell me your stories, right? Tell me your horror stories and say, hey, Moss, you didn't address this kind. Put it there, and I will read through all of them and address them in a blog or a video just like this. So I look forward to interacting with folks. It's www.waitingforservice.com.
I will definitely be visiting that, and just to make sure it's live, so you just send people to the place. The website itself, it sounds like it is going to be like a kind of community, maybe like a Reddit for customer service, or how to get better service for consumers. Is that the aim then, to kind of build a place where people can go to as a one-stop shop for advice?
Yeah. So, once the book launches, what we'll do then is we'll allow you to tell us your horror stories, right? And share them with the rest of the population. And then I will actually start responding to them, right? And that way everyone in the community can benefit from it. So look, the good news is all of us have a story. We have a terrible story. The funny thing is when I ask people, tell me the good stories, people pause and think, let me think. Yeah, there was this one time. Right? So most of it tend to be horror stories. So we will commiserate together. In
Mm.
some cases, there are concrete solutions. In some other cases, like in your uncompetitive industries, you literally have to write your congressperson. You got to write the government to get involved. So that's how egregious some of them can be. But I look forward to all of us bonding over this.
So do you want more positive stories as well? So you can kind of maybe, is it a place where people can kind of see what companies might be best for them, like work out what kind of level of technology versus human they want? They're going to be able to find that information out eventually, even if not at first.
Yeah, I think that what I would like to do, and the good news for me, I actually thought about building what you just described, but
Okay.
somebody else already has, at least for the US. So
Mm.
we will reference, like I don't like to reinvent the wheel. So we will have links to, because I am genuinely interested in improving service writ large. So for example, I wanted to build a directory of how to reach the CEOs of these companies, and I go, let me search and see if somebody else has already done it. And some fantastic people have already done it. So in those instances, we'll just link, we're connected to those organizations and let them continue to maintain those things, because I wish it wasn't this way, that you didn't need to be an expert to navigate how bad service is. But here we are. And until that changes, you'll continue to need help in navigating these terrible, terrible world of waiting for service.
And some of the readers of the book, or listeners to this, might feel that you have a lot of American experience. You might be focusing it a bit more on American market, but you do talk about international customer service, and I do believe you have the right to, the way you've travelled. But for those listeners who might be maybe over here in the UK or somewhere else, and
Yep.
are tuning in, how do you feel that them getting involved in the website that might be a little bit American centric might be beneficial?
Yeah, I think you're correct, right? A lot of the solutions and the tips are very North American centric. That's
Mm.
correct. But the problem is very universal, right? So I write from a universal point of view. I have helped companies all around the world with customer service, as far as Korea, in Southeast Asia, in Latam. I've helped organizations all over the world. So there is a universality to the problem, right? Where there are regional differences and cultural differences is in how the things are solved, right? So, for
Mm.
example, I know there's someone sitting in Venezuela, for example, listening to me saying, write your congressperson, and laughing. And going, that's not going to do anything. He is just as corrupt as the people I'm reporting to, right? So I completely and appreciate that. So I did not attempt to solve the world problems and the solution in, but I want to keep re-emphasizing this, Shauna, because this is what got us in this problem to begin with. The place to start with anything you're trying to solve is not to jump straight to the solutions. It's a natural, cultural, human instinct. What I encourage you to do is don't even read any of the solutions yet. Just look inside the problem, because if you look inside the problem, you won't even need my solutions, right? Because inside of the problem is where the best solutions are. If you just examine, well, why do we do this? What is da 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 da? The answers will be very, very obvious. For example, well, yeah, I do hate my cell phone company. Why am I still with them? I
Mm.
mean, everyone has told me how great this other company is, but because I am inertia and I'm lazy and I don't want to change, well, you know what? If I don't change, they're not going to change, right? Because I keep paying them month after month, month after month. Maybe if I and my whole family take our plans and go to this other place, and if enough people do that, we can begin to affect change. That is a much more effective thing to do, just examining the problem than jumping straight to writing them letters and doing any of that. Focus on just the problem set themselves are universal. The
Mm.
solutions might be a little bit nuanced, but I encourage people to start with the problem itself. Define the problem clearly before jumping to solutions.
Definitely. And I reckon probably speak with others in the community, whether or not, if you are into social media, I'm sure you can find a community on Twitter or Reddit or something like that maybe have had the same issue and maybe have got solutions for you. Would that be right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so, because this problem is so old and so pervasive, you're going to find that I didn't have to go create a lot of this. I didn't have to go create a lot of the solutions. People had already been thinking about it. And I saw that universally, for example. I was looking into, what they did in China, not to take a detour. While that one is a lot more, what's the word I'm looking for, authoritarian than I would like, with the
Mm.
whole social score and all of that. But they do have a very elegant system of punishing and rewarding companies for bad service that I learned in my deal. And it's all sort of this word of mouth and they register a deal. It functions a little bit like our reviews, but frankly, a lot more sophisticated. So there are these mechanisms that exist already that differs by region that you can always go in. But start first and foremost by examining the problem.
Examining the problem will let you know how you can do the solution, I'm sure. So, yeah, I definitely agree. And in terms of what's the future is for you as a festival, what is it? It seems like you might have ostracized yourself a little. What what's on the horizon for Matt?
Well, I may need to go on the run. I think
CIA.
that this book is not going to be met with open arms by the companies and industries I write about, and even by some of my peers. But I think that I didn't write it for them, so I don't care. I wrote it for you, the consumer, and trying to help you navigate from here, this crazy world of customer service. So, what I want to go focus on right after the book comes out is build a community where I put my money where my mouth is, in that I am building a learning platform on BXG Academy. And my thought process is I will teach both, the serious companies, who want to provide good customer service. I would teach them what that looks like. And I'll also teach the general public like you and me.
Mm.
Again, if you are interested in going deep into how do you do this, it'll be there so that when someone who works in customer service is listening to me and says, "Gosh, that all sounds good, but it's complicated. How do you really do it?" It's my way of saying you don't have that excuse either. If you don't want to go read my curated experience, there is this sort of deal. You can, if the companies can subscribe to this, and I will literally teach you how to deliver service that people would like. I am not coming to your place. You would buy this on-demand sort of video learning platform, and even pedantic topics like, how do we do average handle time if you're running a call center? I think it is criminal to put that metric in front of a customer service employee. So, but what do you do? Even those kinds of topics will be addressed there. So that's what I'm working on now. That's what's going to be the accompaniment of the book, which is you read the book, you're like, yes, what do I do about it? the next step would be on this academy that I am building.
Okay, and for the consumer rather, I was going to say community then, but same. For the consumer then, interacting with you, I'm guessing would give you a really good leg to stand on when you're going to those companies and you're saying, look, this is what people want. So for consumers, you hearing from them is a really big step in helping companies to get what they want, right?
Absolutely. So I'm reluctantly on social media. I think that Facebook and Instagram are harrowing, but this is the public square. This is where you are, so I'm there as well. And so my content is also changing. So I'm going to be focused on talking to you instead of the experts and interacting with you. So send me your burning questions and concerns around customer service, anything whatsoever. Send them my way, interact with me. I do a lot of speaking engagements. So if you see me around the world and in the US giving a speech, please come by and say hi and tell me your horror stories. I like to bathe in it. Uh, and just like marvel at how low we can get in this industry. But I also think it's important that you understand that this is my life's work, right? Like I've spent my entire 20 plus career doing this. I don't have any other marketable skills, but I've devoted myself to how do we improve people's lives through customer service. So I'm not going anywhere. Although, there's a few companies that would want me to go somewhere after this book comes out, but I'm not going anywhere. I will continue focusing on the consumer and helping you get the best service that you deserve.
So should they come back here to this podcast, or will there be a different method are you thinking of doing something that's more focused to the consumer rather than the employees?
Yes, so that's going to show up in a few ways, right? So I told you about the academy, and then we've got this Waiting for Service podcast that you and I are doing, and we're doing the series now that's for the launch of the book. So this will go in through, call it the first quarter of 2022, but we are not stopping here, right? What it will then evolve into will be less about the book, right? Because the waiting for service does not end after the book comes out. We are going to be waiting for service for a long, long time. All of us spend an average of 43 days of our lives just waiting on hold. That will not get cured overnight. So we will explore other areas. I'm hoping we get more interactive. Start taking your questions, either live questions that you've asked us, or even questions you've put out there on Reddit, on the message boards. We'll go grab them, give you credits, and begin to really go deeper in helping you solve that. So the best way to keep up with everything going on, follow me across all social media at Amas Tanumah. It's the same AMASTNUMAH, same handle throughout all your favorite social channels. And you'll be able to consume the latest and greatest content that we have around this topic.
I tell you what, you won't be missing out. The math is hilarious. So maybe you might not share my sense of humor, but I find it funny. So I could learn something and laugh.
Exactly. Exactly. A two for one. But no, I've enjoyed this, and you've reminded me of certain things I've written. I haven't forgotten I've written them because I wrote these words several months ago. But thanks, thanks so much, and it's reminding me that, oh my gosh, I did write that. Some of them I thought I thought them, but didn't put them on paper. And then you go, oh, no, you
said that out loud, yeah. And just in case anybody hasn't read it yet, you can purchase it from the Waiting for Service website, which again is www.waitingforservice.com. Although, if you really want to do it on Kindle, then you can go to that other place. But you want to go to the website. So that's where you can head to read the book if you haven't done already, and to join the community. So I'm looking forward to hearing loads of questions from people and seeing what gets across our plate. So I'm very excited about the opportunity of hearing everything that everyone has to say. I've had so much fun talking to you
Thank
about
you.
waiting service and that. I'm so privileged to get the lols that I've had. And I hope everybody else has found it interesting as well. So for now, it's goodbye, but see you again soon.
Thanks, everyone.